Anthony Slater here with Eric Horn inside the post-game press conference facility deep in Chesapeake Energy Arena. As always, our Thunder post-game videos are brought to you by J. Marshall Square, Oklahoma City's only big house apartment community. And Eric, the Thunder close out the Mavericks. Another emotional night, but they still beat them by 14 points, 118-104. Kind of the story of this series. A lot of stuff going on around it, but not very competitive on the court.
Yeah, since game 2, they haven't trailed.
They haven't trailed in any of the 4 games of the series. They beat them by 39, 28, 11, and 14.
And, an impressive performance for the Thunder to come in here and take care of business and move on to the Spurs. Great performances from Russell Westbrook. Kevin Durant had a quiet 33, I thought. And Steven Adams was big when Enes Kanter went out of the game. He stayed in and played a good game as well.
Steven Adams was big even before that. I thought he had a really good first quarter.
Excellent first quarter.
I think he ends the night with 15 and 10, so a nice double-double from him. As you mentioned, not a great night for Kanter. I think Ibaka finished with 2 points, 3 rebounds. He's had a great series, wasn't great tonight, but Russell Westbrook, who before the game, as I'm sure everyone's aware, Mark Cuban basically refers to Kevin Durant as a superstar and says Russell Westbrook isn't a superstar. Russell Westbrook then comes out, puts 36 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, dominates the game really from end to end. What do you think?
Absurd comments from Mark Cuban. Russell Westbrook is, I guess, universally acclaimed as like a top 5 player in the league now.
Yeah.
So it was really silly of Cuban to say that. And
the timing, too.
Yeah.
Right before a closeout game. Yeesh.
As if Russell Westbrook needed any more motivation to come out and eviscerate this team that was already on its last legs. But Cuban just gave him even more fire. And then the post-game fireworks were some of the best we've seen.
Yeah, Kevin Durant calls Mark Cuban an idiot. And then, another Thunder villain in this series, Charlie Villanueva, who obviously interrupts the dances at one point, does a between-series, selfie video kind of ripping Russell Westbrook at one point in his dancing, follows him around during pregame warm-ups today. I guess was talking a bunch of smack to Russell. Westbrook, you'll see what Russ has to say about him, but he basically says now he's got the offseason to get ready to sit another 82 games next year. Then Durant, under his breath, it's tough to hear, but says he might not even be in the league. So, fun series, but a 5-gamer, like I said, that wasn't competitive. Now you got to look ahead. Spurs series starts Saturday in San Antonio. Is going to be a really good one.
Yeah, and credit to the Thunder for coming out and finishing this series off instead of having to go and play Game 6 in Dallas and then having to play that short start to the series. So, this is what they play for, This is the spot where they want it to be.
You really like how the Thunder are playing, but you really like how the Spurs are playing. 67 wins this season, swept the Grizzlies easily in round 1. So this is just going to be a bloodbath. Whereas the other Western Conference semifinal between the Warriors and Clippers, it's going to be interesting. You got Curry's knee injury. He may be out. Chris Paul broke a bone in his hand tonight. He potentially could be out. The Western Conference landscape is shifting a little bit, so it should be interesting. But anyways, here's some of the fire in post-game tonight.
We was able to win 3 straight. So I just like our mindset mentally. We got to be prepared. This is a solid team that we're playing, so we got to be solidly disciplined. And I like how we started this series.
Saad Yusuf, ESPN Dallas Radio. Were you aware of Mark Cuban's comments before the game when he said Kevin was the only superstar on this team, and how do you react to that?
He's an idiot. Don't listen to this. He's an idiot. That's what we have to say right there. He's an idiot. Next question.
But now he needs to go home and do whatever he needs to do. Be ready for next year to sit down and watch 82 more games like he did this year.
Tim first. Okay, Anthony.
Anthony Slater with Oklahoma. Kevin, what was this series like for you? You had the Game 2 struggles, the technical, the flagrant, all the other stuff going on. What was it like for you?
It was any other series, a regular series for me. I think it added a little bit more from the outside, especially with them trying to throw stuff into the series for them to get an advantage. It didn't work. I think, more so than anything, all that stuff was coming from their coach and their owner, just trying to get their guys fired up and just trying to distract us, but it didn't work. For me, it just missed shots. That's a part of it, but I like how I kept playing. I like how I stayed positive and did other things on the defensive end for my team. But for the most part, all that other stuff happened on the outside, them trying to distract us and take us off our game, but it didn't work.
Back.
Greg Ekman, this is for NPR. Kevin, The news came out today, and I know the next order of business for you is the Spurs, but on the injury with Curry, what ramifications does that have on the Western Conference playoffs?
I just hope that he gets healthy, but we wasn't worried about that. We just worried about trying to finish the series off. You hope guys are healthy, and don't wish anything bad on anybody, but that had nothing to do with our series and how we were approaching his last game. Staying tight on our shooters on the perimeter, so it was allowing us to get down here and make decisions. He made great decisions on the series. Guys finished. Ennis was able to reach from Russell, get to the paint, and draw in a couple guys. So they just played gimmick defense, and they didn't really play solid. They weren't really disciplined on the series, so that's how we were able to shoot such a high percentage, except for that second game. It took all of that for him to win by 1 point, and us to have a historically bad night shooting basketball. But for the most part, we got whatever we wanted on offense.
Mavs, obviously, they didn't win the series, but I thought their guys competed at a really high level every single night. Certainly a hard-fought series. I thought both teams competed really, really hard. I thought today we had hurt them, I think, quite a bit, on the glass in particular. And I thought we got out to a pretty good lead there. And then I thought their second chance points to start the third quarter, when we had a 7-point lead, we have 2 offensive rebounds, cut the lead. We had a couple, obviously, in the first half that really allowed them to really cut into our lead. And I thought Powell, Pachulia, all those guys did a really, really good job on the glass. I think the shooting percentage for them was pretty high, but I think also was they got a lot of shots back. Obviously, I thought individually Russell, had an incredible game, and I thought Kevin played, very, very well. They're a hard team to guard with Dirk. We decided midway through the fourth to do some switching. I thought that helped us a little bit get some stops. But, we're excited about getting a chance to move on and play again. And, just knew that every game against these guys was going to be hard fought.
Questions for Coach Michael.
Coach Michael Kenny, first, can talk about the injury to Enos and how is he, and then second is overall, how would you describe what you saw from this year team throughout the series?
Ennis is fine. He was able to go back in the game. I don't even know what his injury was. He was certainly looking at grabbing his leg. I'm not sure where, but the trainer told me he was able to go back in. I'm happy he's healthy. I think for us getting a chance to move on and advance is great. I think these series like this, and I've got a lot of respect for Rick, as a coach and as a person, and I think this series made our team better. We dealt with a lot of physical confrontation in the game, and I say that in a very positive way, not in a negative way. And we got tested in a lot of different ways, and hopefully through these 5 games, we're better from it.
Dean Blevins, News 9 Sports. Coach, I'm curious your reaction to, there's been a lot made of Mark Cuban before the game saying that Russell Westbrook was a star, not a superstar. KD was, and even Coach Carlisle a few minutes ago said that there were 3 superstars out there, including Dirk and your 2. Your reaction to that?
Well, I didn't see it or hear it, but I'll tell you this, I'm really, really happy he's on my team. I wouldn't trade him for anybody. So, there's no question Russell Westbrook's one of the best players in this league. There is no question about that at all. And I'm happy I get a chance to watch him compete every single night. To me, he's a superstar as good as anybody in this league. And I feel as a coach, getting to be around him every day, he's a superstar person.
Runs, we try to make it tight. They made a big play, whether it was an offensive rebound or shot making by Westbrook and Durant or anybody else. They're a great deep team with 2 great players, and we're wishing them good luck in the next round.
Side use of ESPN Dallas Radio. What was it about Westbrook today that you guys just weren't able to stop him?
Well, I think the whole league knows when he makes a pull-up, it's pretty much unguardable. Because he can drive left, he can go right, he can finish at the rim. He's probably the best offensive rebounding guard this league has ever seen. And if he makes those pull-ups behind the screen, there's not much you can do. But I'll high five him and tell him good game.
Right here.
Derek, we heard before the game that you were sick this morning. That's why you've been shooting around, and you're sniffling now. How sick were you?
Body was exhausted a little bit last night. Didn't feel well. The chills a little bit, but I took some NyQuil. Got 10 hours of sleep, and actually felt really good today. So I was ready to go.
And the sequence that led to your technical foul, a couple possessions in a row where they get offensive rebound, was your frustration with a call or just you guys letting those opportunities slip?
Well, it's always a little bit, everything piles up. I think the play that sums up this series was where we had it, when it was a 4-point game. Westbrook heaves one from 35 feet. All we need is get the rebound. Robertson gets the loose ball and lays it in. It feels like this sums up this entire series. Every time we're right there, they always came up with every loose ball in the entire series. We didn't rebound the ball well, so that didn't help. As long as their ability to make shots and just overmatched and the technical, I don't know, I just felt like I didn't get any calls either, so I just let them have it.
Dirk, earlier here in this room, Rick said that he just hopes that this was not the last game that Dirk Nowitzki plays in a Dallas uniform, and he said that we should not take anything for granted. The fans should not take anything for granted. I know it's a little early, but how would you address that possibility?
Well, I signed on for 3 years, a couple years ago, and my intention was always to finish this contract. But I always said I want to retire in Mavs, especially after we won the championship a few years ago. There's no reason to go anywhere unless, the Mavs are rebuilding. I always said that in the last couple of years. I never want to be a part of a rebuilding. And next season I'll be 38. But as long as we go for it, and every summer we add guys and keep competing, and I'll be a Mavs for the rest of my career.
Anthony Slater with the Oklahoman. Durant was guarding Barea at times. He was switching on you late. With his length, everyone talks about his scoring. What does his defensive versatility do out there for them?
Yeah, he's a legit 7-footer with long arms, and he can play like a 2-guard on the offensive end, and defensive end. He can switch on bigger guys. With his length, he can guard smaller guys. So, yeah, he's a great player.